So you've probably heard all about Notion by now. It's the #1 productivity app, and then you watch all the content out there, you open it up and got some pre-made pages, and now what? And then you hear this complex stuff like databases and templates and roll-ups and all that stuff, but you don't know where to start. If that's the case, then this video is for you. I've been using Notion since 2020 and now make videos like this every single day. And I'll show you how to use Notion to actually be productive, not just make some fancy databases that you don't look at. The first thing is to really internalize that the note-taking practice is much more important than note-taking app. For instance, when you start to run, it's much important to block the time rather than find the perfect shoes. And already from there, we've sort of decreased the importance of Notion itself, since you can make this practice anywhere. I mean, you can run in all kinds of running shoes. The second thing is to keep it simple. There's this concept in system theory called Gall's law, which means that the complex system cannot be designed from scratch, but has to be evolved from a simpler system. So that's the same too if you look at others more complex Notion setup and so forth. Chances are they started out very simple at some point and just upgraded from there. Fortunately, most of the things you want to do in Notion could just be cheaper, just typing out some text and occasionally write some headings in order to clarify which part is which and so forth. In my experience, Notion is very good as a giant sidebar. If you have a particular area, it could be professional one, it could be personal one, it could be fitness, it could be other people, it could be household checklist and so forth. You can have each designated page per each area. But as you can see, it's still pretty simple when it comes to gym PRs and stuff like that. It's just numbers. And other than that, it's just pasting links and pasting various numbers and best practices that I want to come back to again and again. So by just adding some text, you pretty much got 98% of what Notion can offer you without doing so much. It's very easy to create these checkboxes, which you can see, okay, now I've not done it, but now I've done it. Then it becomes a little bit more nuanced once you realize it's not only as easy as not done and done, but it could be in progress there, doing a certain kind of process here, and then finalization here, and then it's done. So we have 5 different stages instead of 2, which is just statuses come in. In my case, I have prep and ready and finished. And once each task get more subtasks and get more information and links attached to them, then they are projects now. And in my case, each video is a particular project. Once you have this database where you see all the statuses and all the different entries and so forth, then you can use stuff like, for instance, filters and link databases if you want to just see a particular subset of that database. And the same goes with formulas and dashboards too, just way to present the same information different ways. You can see, okay, where it's going and so forth. And before I tell you in the end how to completely go from here, I just want to highlight 2 things. The first one is more Notion AI. And if you have the budget for it, Notion AI is very powerful when it comes to everything from meal plans, checklists, research, brainstorm ideas and so forth. And pretty soon I will release a video about prompt engineering, which is an act of asking questions to an AI for us normal people, to kind of give you a general framework to understand this a little bit better. Then we also have the daily notes feature. So I'm a very big fan, once again, of just offloading everything from my mind to whatever place I happen to trust. Notion is really the best of just creating page after page after page and see that on the sidebar. But in the journal page, you can create some pages which automatically labels that date. Sure, it's a little bit harder to get to, and of course a better solution, but that's still better than nothing. So now finally, what do you do from here? First of all, you can just mess around with creating different notes and so forth to get a general feel. But other than that, it's all about asking yourself in the end what areas or interests you have. And then you can create a page for each one. Here is where you store everything in terms of links, various numbers and best practices that you want to keep in mind that you find particularly helpful. Could be checklist or other sorts. Then you can treat it as your home base, call it that, in which you go in and see, okay, now I'm going to do this, so therefore I want to access these resources and so forth, and on you go. And later on you will find when it's time to upgrade from just text and links to a little bit more sophisticated, like databases or so. It's all happening naturally, but as long as you keep it simple and not try to do any fancy just for the fancy sake, then I believe you have the true capacity to use Notion for maximum output and not necessarily to use Notion. And with that said, let me know in the comments how you use Notion, and if you found it particularly simple, if there are some areas which can be a little bit murky sometimes. I'll see you in this video right here, and always remember that you're the most amazing human being alive.